Hello.
Hi, Kenan. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I am fabulous.
Good. Great to meet you too.
I know, right?
Yes. It's a long time coming, so thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm good. It's all divinely guided.
Yes, absolutely.
Mhm.
So let's see. Give me just a
So
second.
StreamYard is a little bit different than Zoom.
hmm Yeah, I used to use Zoom too when I first started.
Yeah.
Yeah, I used Zoom for about a year or so. And then I moved over to StreamYard. So I have more access to more of the
Social media. You can
social media. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, because
All
Zoom
right.
lets us do like all kind of filters.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Ac- yeah. You can do filters. Yeah. No, you're fine. You look great. You look great.
thank you.
Obviously, it's sunny in the background too. Or is that a window behind you, or is that a wall?
Yeah, well,
Okay.
it's both.
Oh, okay. So yeah.
This I'm
Oh,
right
okay.
on the beach.
Okay. Oh, that's
And
all good.
yeah. So
All
this is
good.
my live background.
Okay.
Live. And
All
it is
good.
gonna rain. We gotta
Okay.
get off the beach.
Yeah.
Just so
Okay.
we get a little.
All good. All right. So we're going to get started
So my
here.
mic is good?
Yes. Do you hear any echoes on my end?
No.
Okay. Perfect. Yeah. Your mic is good. Your
Okay.
mic is good. Take your mind into the wonderful world of physical, emotional, psychological, and spiritual wellness. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Kinetic Hour. Conversations with you and guests. With your host, Kenan Wesley Mason. So, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, and welcome to another edition of the Kinetic Hour. I am your host, Kenan Wesley Mason. Welcome one, welcome all. Thank you all for tuning in to another edition. It's always appreciated as we are live streaming and simulcasting live on LinkedIn, simulcasting live on Facebook, and simulcasting live on Instagram. So, welcome to all three platforms. And as always, go to my YouTube channel and my Rumble channel. It is the Kinetic Hour, and that is Kinetic, Kennetic, the Kinetic Hour. Subscribe, tell everyone that you know to subscribe, click the notifications, click the thumbs up, click the like buttons, leave your comments, tell everyone you know to leave comments regarding the comments, and that way we can keep the algorithms going. And also go to my other YouTube channel, which is Kinetic Fit and Wellness Info, for everything physical health, mental health, emotional health, spiritual health, and everything in between. So go to that and go to my Rumble channel, which is also the Kinetic Hour. Once again, it's always appreciated. And as I always say, there's 1,000 podcasts that you can be listening to. So thank you for tuning in to the Kinetic Hour. And as you can see with the big smile on her face, my guest today, as I read her bio here quickly, inspired by her gifts and her own personal experience with energy movement, she facilitates breakthroughs and extremely effective energy healing sessions for each of her clients. She's the founder of Limitless Life Institute. Using energetic empowerment, she guides people through a process to discover what's holding them back so they can transform. Her signature process elevates personal vibrational frequency as you become empowered to take your subsequent steps in experiencing greater levels of ease, joy, and abundance. She says with energetic healing, you rid yourself of anxiety, negative thoughts, and unhealthy behaviors. She's the co author of several award winning international bestsellers, including My Big Idea book and Are you the missing piece? Don't leave a hole in the world. And I'm happy she's here. Please welcome to the Kinetic Hour, Susan Shatzer.
Woohoo! Thank you so much. Wow, that was a mouthful.
Yes, yes. Thank you so much for gracing the stage with me on the Kinetic Hour. So thank you so much.
You are so welcome. It is my honor, truly, to be in service to you and your audience. I'm excited.
Yes,
We're going to shift and
yes,
change some people's lives and realities right here, right now.
yes, 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 we are. And as we veer off into that journey, let's kind of backtrack just a little bit and go into how you got started in this journey of transformation and energetic empowerment. How did you get started, and was there any kind of adversity that got you down this path, or um, what was it that led you into this path of self and personal development?
That's a great question. So I'm going to take you all the way back 56 years.
Okay.
And my mom's water broke on August 22nd, Kenan, and I wasn't born until September 8th. So my whole life, I've been dubbed as like, if anyone's going to be late, it's going to be Susan. Ha ha ha. She was late to her birth.
Right, right.
So, of course, you are what people perceive you as. So I would be like fashionably Susan late. So it was Susan time my whole life.
Okay.
And then I got tapped on the shoulder, and one of my angelic guides said, do the math on that. So I was like, oh, okay. I got my calendar out, August 22nd, September 8th. That's 18 days.
Mm-hmm.
18 days. So I started talking with the OBs. And I'm like, wait, 18 days. They're like, yeah, you shouldn't be here, and neither should your mother.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, so body, yay, you're a miracle, like miracle body.
Yeah.
Like, okay, cool. I'm like, so like, where was I? What was I doing for 18 days? Like inverted, hanging out. Like, was I stuck? Like, what was going on? So like every particle stopped, time stopped. I could see every particle in the room. In this like lucid dream screen drops down. And I can see myself, and I'm in heaven, for lack of a better word. So I'm in heaven with God, and I'm arguing.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
see, I know that I have a choice up here, and I'm not going. I'm tapping out. I'm like, I'm done. I'm like, this life has way too much illness, disease, betrayal, heartache, all that kind of stuff. Like, I'm not going. I'll go in 100 years. God, I got you. I got you. I'll do it. Earth will be a nicer place. Humans will be easier to be with. Like, it'll just be better. And he just said, Susan, it has to be you. And I'm like, I feel like a little 5-year-old. Why? Why does it have to be me? How come me?
Yeah.
And he said, look here. And he opens his arms like this. So I look in, and it's like, there's all these twinkling lights in there. I'm like, ooh, what's that? He's like, those are the souls waiting for you to get to planet Earth, because you're there to help them on their soul's evolution, which is why they incarnate. I was like, all right, I'll go. I'll do it. I'll be here. I'll do the struggle. So here I am.
Here you are.
Doing all those things and being in service. Yeah.
Being in service. Yeah. Yeah. And that's great that you went through that to get here. You went through that to get here.
Yes.
And because of that, and I was going through your website, and I found a lot of things. Actually, I'm going to go here. I'm going to pull this up on the screen here, and you can elaborate. You can elaborate on this. I'm going to go here because I saw this. And let's see, here we go. It's going to come right up on the screen. There it is. So I want to focus on this first one here down below. It's about building confidence. Here, when we talk about personal development and self-help, a lot of people do lack confidence. Can you talk about that for a couple of minutes? Why so many people not only here in America, but just globally, uh, lack the confidence to move forward. Why is there such the lack of confidence, and how can we change that?
Yeah, I am happy to speak to this. So there are different levels of confidence, and there's different confidences for different topics. So
Mm-hmm.
there's a confidence you can have in playing sports. There's a confidence you can have in relationships. There's a confidence or lack of confidence you can have in, your school and your education or your job, whatever it happens to be. So there are level of confidences that people have in different areas of their life. And what we do is I work with the client's angelic team, their galactic team, and we also have an indigenous team.
Okay.
And those teams all support the higher self, the soul that I'm working with, in eliminating anything that blocks, and limits them from perceiving, knowing, being, and receiving like everything without judgment.
Mm-hmm.
So we go in and we'll eliminate lifetimes of terrible relationships. We'll get rid of lifetimes of stuff that has to do with sports or academics, whatever it happens to be.
Yeah.
And then also their ancestors pass down things to them this way. So they show me their lifeline from left to right, and I can see all the way back to the very first thing they chose to be or do, all the way forward to what they're projecting into their future lifetimes.
Mm-hmm.
And their ancestors are stacked vertically this way. So we can see what they've passed down. So a lot of the stuff that people have in their lives, like they have no idea where it came from.
Mm.
They have no idea why they feel less than and not enough in certain areas and to certain degrees. So we're able to go in there, identify what that is, and remove it.
Mm-hmm.
Gone. When it's gone, you have more space in your cup than to invite in that which you'd like to have in your life, and everything changes.
Yeah. Yeah. Everything changes. And the confidence it brings. Little successes will build the confidence. Little everyday things that you accomplish, whether it's cleaning a corner out of the garage, or vacuuming your car out, or just any little thing. you know
Well,
um
actually, if you don't mind me interrupting, I'm like, that's the third
yeah.
dimension. That's the third dimension. That's what
Okay.
they would like you to believe is
Okay.
how you gain more confidence.
Okay.
Yeah, confidence is just a program that's running.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So we
Mm-hmm.
delete the locks, blocks, and stops, delete the program. You actually can be in question because questions empower you. Anything else disempowers you. So see, if you don't go clean out the corner, you don't do something in the garage, then you're bad, you're wrong, you're terrible, I mean, you already prejudge yourself about it. Versus being in the question of, so if I clean that corner in my garage, I'm like, is that what I've been asking for?
Mm-hmm.
If I clean that corner of my garage, is that going to contribute to me? And then you fill in the blank, creating a different possibility, because everything's energy. Our thoughts, our feelings, our emotions, the clothes we wear, the technology we're using, the food we eat is all energy.
Yep.
So every molecule has consciousness,
Yep.
Ken.
Yep. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
and since everything's energy, so everything can speak with you. And it does. We were just never taught to listen, to hear, to see beyond the crayon colors in the large crayon box.
Mm-hmm.
If it
Mm-hmm.
wasn't in your large crayon box, it didn't exist. It doesn't have a meaning or a name or a form or a structure, or it's invisible. So it's not real. And it's make believe, or you're making it up.
Make believe, or you making it up, right?
Can you
Yeah.
see that ball
Yeah.
that started when we were younger?
Yeah. Yeah. And with that, I saw that you talk about procrastination, and why people wait and wait and wait for the right moment to do something or anything. Um, why do so many people have that procrastination? Does it go back to how we've been programmed from birth?
Would you like the easy answer?
However, whatever answer comes to you.
So procrastination is seen, you tell me, as a positive or a negative?
Well, I don't know. I mean, it can be positive, no matter how you perceive it.
Right? So, like, kids are made wrong for procrastinating on cleaning their room, on doing their homework, on practicing for their sports or their violin lessons, whatever it happens to be. So, they've been made wrong their whole life for waiting to do things.
Mm-hmm.
So, the waiting, WAIT, is associated with WEIGHT because it's the same word.
Wait and wait. Okay.
Yeah. So then they start to put on weight because they're waiting to do
Mm-hmm.
it.
Okay.
However, it's so interesting that as an adult, when I ask you, look, how long will it take you to clean your house? Someone will say, the whole week. It'll take the entire week to get my house ready if I was going to have some people over. I went, great. So then you get the call on Friday and your friends just landed because they're going to surprise you.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
they're coming over and they'll be there in 2 hours. Guess what? She goes, I'd clean my house in 2 hours. I go, you bet you would. And
Yeah.
it would be sparkling clean.
Yeah.
So it's about how much time does it really take
Mm-hmm.
for us to do these things? Do you know what I mean? Like, you know, I consider procrastination a superpower. It's
Yeah.
kind of like, and it's a game you play with yourself. It's like
Mm-hmm.
you're going to wait up till the minute and the second just before you can, get it all done in 10 minutes versus, 10 hours.
Yeah.
And it's a superpower. It's not a
Mm-hmm.
wrongness. It's actually a strongness that people have, but people have been made wrong for it for centuries,
Yeah.
about waiting and not getting it done fast enough, not getting it done on time. I'm like, the whole time thing is a construct. It's like, what if exactly when it gets done is the exact time that is supposed to be finished? And
Mm-hmm.
that's, I
Yeah.
mean, like, there's
Yeah.
no point of view about it. It's
Mm-hmm.
just like when we say divinely guided, can either you're divinely guided or you're not, because you can't be a little bit pregnant.
That's right. You either all in or you not. Right.
There you go.
Right. Yeah. You can't be somewhat pregnant, right? So
Right.
I get that. I get that. And a lot of people, because you said the procrastination can be, it can ultimately be the gift. Now, a lot of people look at fear in that same tone as procrastination, waiting and waiting because of the fear of moving forward. And you talk about overwhelming fear. Um, and from what I've learned, as the old Zig Ziglar statement, fear is false evidence appearing real. What do you say to that? And how can we overcome fear of anything?
Yes.
Anything.
Yes. So fear is 100% fake.
Okay.
It's not
Yeah.
real.
Yeah.
It's 100% fake. Fear is when you're not willing to be aware. If
Okay.
you're willing to be aware, there's no reason to fear because you
Mm-hmm.
will know.
Mm-hmm.
But you were not taught to know as children. You were taught to figure it out, find the right answer, make a good choice. That's all programming.
Right.
Asking a question empowered you. So that's what my clients learn to do. We go from conclusion and decision and judgment to asking questions to gain the awareness of like what's required.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. And a lot of people fear asking questions. They fear that, I've heard that there's no such thing as a dumb question. If you're curious about something and you want the answer, then you have to convey the communication so you can get it. Some people are afraid to ask questions because they're afraid of what everybody else may say about the question.
Sure.
Um, versus,
Understandable. Yeah.
yeah,
We grew up with judgment.
judgment. Yeah.
Bullying, judgment, tons of judgment.
Mm-hmm.
Our parents judged, politics judged, our TV heroes, the TV stations they judge. We're just surrounded with so much judgment.
Mm-hmm.
That it's like a way of life, a way of being, versus So when I say ask questions, it's not you're asking up here. We're asking our body, because our body is more conscious than we are.
Yeah.
We have points of view about things and our body doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
So
Right.
your body knows exactly what vitamins, minerals, and elements it requires.
Mm-hmm.
And then it'll give you the picture, or you'll get the idea of like, maybe broccoli tonight. But then we go to, I hate broccoli. I cannot stand broccoli. I am not going to eat broccoli.
Yeah.
So your body's trying to communicate with you, and you're like totally shutting it down based on a decision that you've already made and a judgment you have about broccoli.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you, so we get our clients connected back with their bodies, then like, oh my goodness, like so much stuff opens up. Like the clothes they wear is different, something they would never have thought about doing before, because color and clothing is a frequency and it contributes to people. And that shirt that you've got in your closet, that every time you put it on, like you just get smiles and like thumbs up, and people just go, that's just a snappy shirt.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a smart shirt on you. Like they've got all these words, right? And you feel good in it.
Yeah.
But not every shirt gets that same thing. Well, it's the colors, the fabric, it's the frequency of that piece of clothing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So you can actually, when you go shopping, you can ask the clothing, truth, if I buy you, if I wear you, will you make me money?
Okay. Okay. Okay.
So that's how you get in and get connected with your body. So your body is the one that actually wears the clothes. You don't, because you're the soul. You're the spirit. And you don't eat the food. The body eats the food. So stop telling your body what it likes or doesn't like.
Yeah.
The same thing with sexual relations. You don't actually have those. Your body has those, and your body is aware.
Yeah.
Your body is self-preservating. So it'll tell you if it's safe to go on a plane or go, on a surfboard. I'm here right on the beach. Surfboarding is like a big thing, or it'll let you know. And you just have to get that connection back. And that's what we do.
Yeah. And you mentioned the food part of that. I remember when I was younger, I used to not like squash and Brussels sprouts and all that stuff. I created all these postulates for myself growing up. But now that I'm older and into natural health and wellness and nutrition and things like that, my body started telling me that I need to start eating other foods and start broadening the horizon, if you will.
Yes.
So now, I grew spaghetti squash in my backyard about 5 years ago, right before the pandemic or during the pandemic. And I didn't know it was going to take up like half the yard because they grow on vines, but they were huge. They were these big, gigantic things that were big like watermelons, nothing that you would find in the store. And I started eating Brussels sprouts as well. And I'm like, these ain't all that bad, They're actually pretty okay. Because I didn't like them as a child. I barely like broccoli. Unless I put cheese over it,
That's why I use broccoli as an example. I was in your reality.
Yeah.
He's going to relate to this one.
Yeah. But now I like, certain things that I didn't, when I was a teenager or just as a young kid growing up,
Sure.
But now I get the eggplant, all kind of stuff that just wasn't attractive to my eye at the time.
Yes.
But now, since you mentioned colors and everything, now I get different colors of this food group or colors from this food group, the red, the purple, the oranges, the lemon, the yellow, whatever it is, the blue for the blueberries. So, and all those colors have, like you said, they all have an energy and they all have a frequency and they all have information that communicates with your inner body, with all your cells. because all your cells are just miniature versions of you. And they do know what you need more than you do. You know, I mean, we're in health and wellness, especially and unfortunately in medicine or allopathic medicine, there's like an arrogance, like we know more than the body does, versus listening to the inner voice that all of us have that we tend not to listen to. And then because of that, we go into this direction and be like, what the hell is this? I didn't ask for this. You know? So then you got to back up a little bit. You know, you got to back up a little bit and kind of reassess your situation. Like, oh, okay, I need to start listening to myself a little bit more. That whisper that we all have, that inner voice. So I'm glad you brought that up, because yeah, most of us don't listen to our inner selves. You know, we listen to everything or everyone else on the outside of us, whether it's the TV, the news, and all these other outside sources, versus coming back to self. So thank you for bringing that up. And you also talk about the old emotional wounds, and you know, because a lot of people have, again, going back to the programs, some people don't want to face themselves. You know, they don't want to confront their own adversities that many times they create for themselves. Talk about the overcoming that part of it, the emotional self, and bringing ourselves back up to par.
Yeah. So there's an emotional chart that's out there. And you can Google this, and we have one on the stuff that we put out, our paperwork and programs and whatnot, where you start at 0 and it goes up to, like, say 10,000, 1,000.
Yeah.
And, you know, there's these different levels in between. And so, you know, love is something, and trust, and as you go up. So the very bottom is death.
Okay.
And just above death is like the first layer, and it's red. So you go from red at the bottom. Red is like stop, you know, the stoplight, red. And then you go up to like purple. So it also goes along with our chakra colorings.
Yeah.
When you're down low, there's 8 emotional frequencies that are just above death.
Okay.
Would you like to know what they are?
Absolutely.
So let me preface this with, like, anytime you're having these thoughts, feelings, and emotions, and for how much time you're spending with them, you are just above death frequency-wise. So the first one is anger, rage, fury, and hate.
Okay. Fury.
Fury.
Fury. Okay. Okay.
Fury, as in Fury. Fury.
Yeah.
Then blame, shame, regret, and guilt.
Okay.
Those are the other 4.
Yeah.
Anytime you're in those, you're just above death. You're at the lowest vibrational frequency. And then you go up from there. Would you like to know the frequency that's just below God's consciousness, which is the top one?
Yeah. Yeah. Go ahead.
Just below is gratefulness.
Okay.
Not gratitude.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I've discovered there's a difference between gratitude and gratefulness.
Okay.
But you've been taught, right? It's the program
to
show gratitude journals, right? What do you?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I've heard all of that.
Yeah. Did you use please and thank you, good manners? Did you show your appreciation by, you know, calling your aunt and thanking her for the gift, or for grandma for the money that she sent you?
Right.
So that's showing gratitude.
Okay.
And see, that comes with obligation and responsibility. Because when somebody shows you gratitude, you have to respond in order to be good and right.
Okay.
There's your polar, and anything polar and anything where there's a form, structure, significance in it, it's considered a limitation energetic wise, because you have to go there in order to be a good person, a good son, a great grandson, a good kid, that.
Mm-hmm.
But when you're in gratefulness,
Okay.
it's a state of you're being grateful. Like, you can just be grateful for the person, just be grateful for the conversation, just be grateful for the gift that was given. There's nothing else required.
Mm-hmm.
No obligation or responsibility. And when you listen to the words gratitude and gratefulness, you can feel one is heavier and one is lighter than the other one.
Mm-hmm.
And light is truth, and anything that is heavy is not true.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it's huge. We've been like flipping the I don't know, the spectrum, or flipping what's happening, because most of the charts are built vertically. And so this chart, and that's not correct. That's the lie.
Mm-hmm.
That
Mm-hmm.
low is bad and high is good, right? On charts,
Yeah.
right? Like the bigger number's better. So there's the polarity holding in place. So we take the chart and we turn it sideways.
Okay.
You're going from left to right. So there's no high and low. There's no better or worse. You're just scrolling. And it's like, I'm Gen X. So it's like the old radio stations we used to have, where you had the dial and you would like turn the knob, and you would, the dial would go over,
Mm-hmm.
turn it
Yep.
back the other way.
Yep.
And you'd have to get it right in the alignment with the frequency, right?
Yep.
The channel, in
Yep.
order to have a clear connection,
Yep.
right? To hear the station. That's the truth. That's what
Yeah.
we are. We're just honing in our frequency to the channel in which we are.
Yeah, you want to tap into, and you're right about the radio station. I grew up in the same era. So, yeah, I know about flipping the dial, going from one end, you have the FM, that's real clear, and then you have the AM, that's all fuzzy, you know, you have to go all the way across town to get it to be clear. You have to drive over the mountain,
You have to like get the remember the antenna.
the
So
antenna.
you'd have to
Yeah,
like expand.
that's right. Got to get the antenna, and then sometimes you got to get the foil paper because it adds a little extra metal frequency, so the TV will come in clear.
The little
So
rabbit ears.
yeah, the rabbit antennas.
Yeah.
Yeah, I came from that
Those are the
era.
good old days.
But now we're in a digital age, social media age, where um, we don't learn about frequency or vibration from that position or concept, because everything's pretty much handed to us on a silver platter. So we don't know about dialing in to just the right sweet spot, if you will, that belongs to us. The sweet spot. Everyone has one, and many of us are not. We don't have the right. We kind of tip one way this way, then we kind of tip one way that way, but until you kind of get that right sweet spot, there's going to be that sense of duality. Am I going right or am I going wrong? Am I going up or am I going down? Um, so what you're saying is that we need to come to, a sense of um, oneness, if you will, versus the dualities that'll kind of keep us in a state of chaos. So, yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. And also, um, what are some of the things that, because you mentioned about things that are holding us back, what I read in your bio, so many people want to achieve certain successes in life, and but they have certain things holding us back. What are some of the most common things that you've seen from some of your clients that that we all can probably resonate with, that may be holding us back from taking the leap, taking that leap of faith into whatever successes we want to achieve?
Yeah, absolutely. So I have a game changer one.
Okay.
So even in the face of total awareness that this is a limitation, that this limits you, that this drops your frequency, that this holds you back, people will still use it unknowingly, unconsciously, and they will swear to me that they did not use it when they did. And we've had to actually stop the video, go back, play it forward, and they're like, wow, I really did say that.
Mm-hmm.
Would you like to know what that game
Mm-hmm.
change is?
What is it?
Should we share it with your audience?
Absolutely.
It's what I call my 4-letter word.
Okay. Okay.
And it goes like this: WANT, want.
What do you want? Okay. Yeah, that is a huge question. What do you want?
Yes.
Yeah.
And so the definition was actually changed on you. Back then, it was something different than what it is today.
Mm-hmm.
So today, you're taught to use the word want to actually get and bring in and desire. You know what I mean? Like, this is what I want. This is what I want to do. This is what I want to have. So the real true frequency is lack, less than, and not enough.
Mm-hmm.
All three.
Yeah.
See, if you're wanting something, then you can't have it in the present.
Right.
Because your want is always in your future.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if you want something, then you can't actually like be in possession of it because you have to lack it.
I was just going to say that. Yeah. Yeah.
So you continue to try and create your reality with abundance, with joy and ease, but you're lacking everything that's required to do that.
Yeah, because you're always in the stage of want.
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
And
Okay.
so it's interesting because want is part of the poverty consciousness. And then there's a level of wealth consciousness as well, just different frequencies. Not one is better or worse than the other one, just different.
Yeah.
And you know that because people that are impoverished, like they don't go to the same schools, and the people that are wealthy don't hang out in the same areas as they, like they have their own frequencies and they have their own places where they go to school and work and hang out and live.
Yeah.
And when you look at the wealthy people, anytime I'm working with celebrities or some of the opera singers and sporting bigwigs, they don't use the word want. They're like, I'm going to have that.
Yeah.
I'm having that.
Yeah.
And it just means that they're going to go get it. They're going to have it. And having is having it, and it is an abundant frequency.
Mm-hmm.
Completely different way of showing up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the want meaning something that you would like to have in the future versus saying that you're going to have it, meaning that you're feeling the emotions of having it right now. So all you have to do is the action steps, whatever they may be, to have it present itself to you in physical form.
Yeah, so want is future. So like the future doesn't even exist, and neither does the past. Like everything is happening simultaneously right now in this moment.
Right now. Yeah.
Actually, And it's like not even a moment, like it's every second is the now moment kind of a thing. So it's so interesting to take a look at that. So I am and I have is present tense.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people say, oh yeah, I've wanted that car my whole life, or I've wanted that since I was a teenager, or I've wanted that since before we got married, or we've always wanted to go there. Want, and there was a propaganda campaign because it was, what do you want for dinner? What do you want to be when you grow up? Who do you want to be? What do you want to be at Halloween? What do you want for Christmas? What sports do you want to play next year? Like, want is one of those words that even in the face of total awareness, people still unconsciously use it. And I laugh because there are people like, yeah, I know that, but I'm just saying it because I'm talking to you. Like, Yeah, if
Yeah.
you're just saying it because you're talking to me, then you thought about it before you said it, and thoughts are frequencies.
Yep.
So you already screwed it up before you even said it because you thought it first.
Yeah. 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 Absolutely.
I'm like, when you work with me, like, this is what we're doing,
Yeah.
so like put it into practice because it will change, choose, and institute a different possibility for you when you eliminate that word from your
Hmm.
vocabulary. Yeah.
Yeah. And a lot of people that keep wanting things throughout their life and it doesn't happen for them, they start to get depressed. They start having anxiety on whether it's going to happen or not, if it's ever going to happen in this lifetime. Um, and those type of depressions can cause, well, they can begin to cause or create physical ailments in the body. Um, Talk about that aspect of it, because mental health is a huge, it's kind of like the buzzword
Yeah.
now, and it's been the buzzword for probably close to a decade now, where that's all we hear: mental health, all the different diagnoses of uh, borderline personality disorder, this disorder, that disorder, general anxiety disorder, uh, social anxiety disorder, because we want all these things, but instead of kind of demanding for ourselves that we're going to have it or we already have it, talking about things in advance of what you want and feeling those emotions. But when they don't happen for you, then we have all this mental blockage, if you will. Again, the depression, the anxiety. Um, how can we overcome that aspect of it?
Yeah, that's a great question. So being neutral is a gift. It's one of the greatest gifts you can give yourself is to be neutral with everything. Having no point of view. Nobody's right, nobody's wrong. Nothing is good, nothing is bad. I say everything's interesting, or I'll use the word, well, that's pretty cool. You're choosing that.
Right, right.
Even and it's funny for me. So someone was coming at me with anger, and I just started laughing, and it just stops them in their tracks. And the individual was like, well, what's so funny? And I'm like, I think it's hysterical. I go, that you're trying to come at me with anger and you think that's going to work.
Right,
And it just
right.
lays it out there. Do you know what I mean? Like, it shifts the frequency right away.
Hmm.
The other thing is, be in the question. So instead of wanting things, you've wanted it for so long, it's like, what would it take for me to have that? See, what would it take for me to have that? You're actually engaging with consciousness, with the collective consciousness.
Right.
And that's what we do, is that we communicate, we connect, excuse me,
Hmm.
because we command versus demand. When you command into existence. So you collaborate, commingle, cohesive, you're working together. When you demand something, it's destroy, destructive, demolish, destroy,
Okay.
demand. We're commanding into, what would it take for me to have this right away? What
Hmm.
would it take for me to be this right away?
Yeah.
Whatever it happens to be. What would it take? What else is possible here? I love, and this is with access consciousness. I actually got these questions.
Hmm.
And so they are phenomenal. They work, and you're co-creating with the molecules that you have that are around you. And every molecule is consciousness. And guess what you're made of? You're made up a whole stack of molecules. And you
Yeah.
have
Yeah.
molecules all around you all the time. And instead of being the fly on the wall, just go ask the wall.
Right. That's right. Right. Ask the wall.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so with mental health, the way to stay like out of depression, angst, anxiety, that kind of a thing, is to be neutral. So nobody's right or wrong. It's just interesting that your mother responded that way, or it's pretty cool that they decided to choose that versus something else.
Hmm.
And then you kind of just sit with their choice, because you have no control over what other people are going to think, say, and do. You have control over what you think, say, and do. So with that, that's what actually co-creates a different possibility for you. So when you're co-creating with your questions, so like, what would it take for this to show up? Or, what's required here? You'll gain the awareness of what it is. It may be you need to text someone. It may be that you've got to, Google something. It may be a book you're told to go read or check out or get the Cliff Notes for. It may be a song for you to listen to. It's all of those elements, and your body is the one that reaps the benefit. So your body would love for you to be extremely wealthy. It would, because your body's the one that's going to go on vacation. Your body's the one that's going to get the massages and the facials and the pampering, right? You're the soul. You're just hanging around for the ride. But this is the car you're driving in. So get it washed, waxed, highlighted, shine.
Yeah. We don't do enough of that. We let it build up and build up and build up. I started as a massage therapist, and the therapeutic level of touch, you can literally feel how tense and stressed people are, because it shows you from their body. Their bodies are telling you. They don't even have to speak any words. Their bodies are saying it for you. Their bodies are saying it for you.
Exactly.
Yeah,
words are actually like this very slow process of communicating here on planet Earth. Telepathy, telepathic, and just communicating, like the work that our teams do, like there's actually times where there's not any words to explain what it is that we're clearing that is a limitation for someone.
Yeah. And you mentioned command versus demand. Your wish is your command, like the genie that comes out and says, your wish is my command. Well, all of us have the genie inside of us, or we can say that we are the genie. Our wish is our command. You command what you desire, and things will start to happen. You get certain situations or circumstances, or you meet certain people that come into your sphere of influence, and then you have to take the necessary action steps to go with that flow, because we are creators and we are co-creators in this experience, kind of simultaneously. We create and we're co-create. I'm the star, you're the co-star. And that's kind of the life pattern for all of us. That's the life pattern. What is the healing tree? Because I saw you talk about the healing tree and how we're similar to the trees. And I like the distinction between that. Can you talk about that for a few?
Yeah, I would love to. So we were never taught this, but every human being has a healing tree. And we discovered our healing trees when we were kids. So it will be a tree. Think back to when you were younger, that you had either on your property, up the street, at a friend's house, at school, on the playground, in the play yard, whatever it happens to be, where you felt safe, comfortable, nurtured, a tree that you would climb, would hang out under, would offer shade, protection from the sun, something you carved your name in, some that you built a fort around. It's a tree that you hung with, pretty much. But you didn't know why. No one ever taught you why you were hanging out with a tree until now. So I was asked by Source to go up to Vermont. My family has a house up there. I got up there, and the communication was taken out. So there was no way for me to communicate with anyone. And they were having such bad storms that the road washed out, the driveway washed out. No one could get to me. I couldn't get to anyone. And for 3 weeks, I had no cell phone service. So there was nobody to call. there was nothing to do except just me and the trees and nature.
Okay.
And so I refer to him as great grandfather. So this great grandfather tree started to talk to me, and I have notes and notes and notes about sacred earth wisdom, sacred tree wisdom, sacred indigenous wisdom. And trees, when a human body is near it, next to it, connected, it gives off a chemical that stimulates our immune system.
Right.
But we're not told this, and we're not taught this.
Yeah.
So you can search and you'll see there's a lot of videos. In fact, there's like forest bathing now, and there's like the whole tree hugging that used to be to save the, well, you get with a tree and you'll feel the frequency, but trees absolutely positively communicate not only with other trees and the earth, but also with your body. And they're very verbal. Trees will tell you exactly what it is, what's happening, what's going on, who you need to talk to, where you need to go next. Like, they've got it going on. They've been here for a heck of a lot longer than we have.
Yeah.
And they're all connected. So wherever your healing tree was as a kid, like wherever you go in the world, there is a connector tree there that connects you back to your healing tree. And you have access at any time, anywhere. And it is unbelievable. Like, it will heal you. It will get rid of, emotions that are filling up and welling up inside. I've done so much research, Kenan, that our immune system is actually dual-fold, but we were never taught this. So our immune system is, one, to get rid of the bacteria, the pathogens, the viruses, that kind of a thing, to clean itself out. But it's also to filter out the emotional stuff.
Yeah.
So, when we're kids, and like two boys come up and they're like, like punching on each other a little bit, they got a little scrapping of some kind.
Yeah.
And the teacher will say, well, look, just say you're sorry, make up and go play. And they're like, sorry. Okay, let's go play. Come on, let's go. We're best friends. Like, it is so fast, the switching of that kind of a thing. And like, we don't actually do that anymore. So the trees help us filter out that emotional stuff. So as we got older, we had more and more emotional stuff stack on that side of our immune system. And we came in contact with more viruses and bacterias and flus and, that kind of stuff, whether it's Lyme or COVID or, Epstein-Barr, mono, whatever it happens to be. Your body is self-preservating. So it will get the pathogens out first, and it will leave the emotional stuff stacked up. So when it has to balance and function, your emotional support, your body is self-preservating. It will clean out the physical pathogens first. Then if it has a chance, it has strength, it has enough energy, it'll get to the emotional stuff. But what happens is we get to the point where we're like, it's so heavy, it's so full that it just continues to compound. And the trees will help you get rid of it.
Yeah. I remember learning about Dr. George Washington Carver and how he used to literally talk to his plants, and they would literally respond, with either certain movements of the plant or they would grow in a certain way according to what his request was for them, for the plants.
Yes.
A lot of people don't realize
where they want to be planted, how much sun they'd like to have, if they need some water, they need some more nutrients. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's symbiotic, because we breathe out carbon dioxide, trees breathe it in, they breathe out oxygen that we breathe in.
Yeah.
We're symbiotic with each other. So
it's a given, take, receive. And, it's, we have a big tree out here, and during the winter months when there's no leaves, I go stand next to it and I just look up and I see how all the stems and how they go in different directions. And it reminds me of the nervous system and how, when you look at the nervous system on its own, it's almost like a tree with many branches, and it kind of branches off into different things. And then when you get to the inside of the brain, then you see how the brain kind of takes on different patterns, and similar to the tree, and how the energy kind of flows. It's almost like, and I've mentioned this a few times on the show, the movie Lucy, where she was looking at this tree and she saw the energy of the energy motions move up and down with all the different frequency colors, from the roots all the way to the leaves, and you can literally see it. You can see it. We don't realize how alive the trees and plants, and how you can verbalize with the soil, and communicate with the elements within the soil as well, because everything is energy, and so are we. So if you can communicate with it, you can communicate and verbalize, or even just kind of think the thought about it. You know, they
Spot
will pick, they will pick it up.
Yes.
They'll pick it up, and
Yes.
they'll respond over time.
Yes. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And so will the molecules of your food.
Yes.
So will the molecules of the bed, the sheets, the car you're driving. Like,
Yeah.
everything is aware. You were just never taught this.
Yeah.
You were never taught how to do this. So that's why your Limitless Life is a conscious education system, where we're going to teach kids and adults how to do things differently. It's the way you were never taught, how to communicate, how to connect. And it's huge. It's going to be huge. Yeah.
It is huge. And before we get to your books, you had a success story that I wanted you to speak upon, and she's on your website. Her name is Susan Hayes, and she came to you, and she had her entire life transformed. Talk about that interaction and how you kind of facilitated her transformation.
Yeah, I'd be happy to. So Susan came to me, and she was a massage therapist at the time. And she was doing a lot of work with bodies, but her body was hurting. And it was harder and harder for her to do the massage. And, she was renting space, and she had this jaw pain from a long time in her life. And it was just getting more and more and more and more painful with her whole body. And she just said, you know what, I've got this number from someone. That's how people normally find me, is through, because like attracts like.
Yes.
Like, I have an awareness that someone else has like a question about, or a frequency that they require. And I've got that. So then they show up in our world. And that's how it is with you, with this radio.
Yeah.
And live streaming that you have going on. It's like your guests are just aligned, they attract, like attracts like.
That's right.
So when we got together, we talked about what was happening with her jaw and her body. And within that first hour, that first night, when she woke up the next day, it was gone.
Mm-hmm.
It was completely gone the very next day. Yeah, and we continue to work together to kind of get through the other steps and stages that were going on. Losing her husband, he was passing away from cancer. She was changing out of massage into coaching, and she travels the world right now. She has a twin sister. They're both in Italy. She got certified with, I'm not sure if it's Bob Proctor, one of the programs. She TED Talk. She coaches all around the world now, and her life is completely different. We had to get the stuff. And this is how I sort of describe it for people. So you know how cream rises to the top, Ken, and then you scrape it off, right?
Yeah.
Well, whatever the biggest problems, challenges, issues are, they're going to rise to the top, and they're going to be front and center in your life. Those are the ones that are ready to let go of. Those are the ones that are ready to get deleted. So we delete those, and then the next layer rises to the top. The thing in working with Susan was, our bodies can only receive so much change at one time. And then they play Tetris. So do you know that the computer game Tetris where like
Oh yeah.
the
I
blocks go over?
I used to play Tetris. Yeah. Oh
It like
yeah.
spin around and get them in. Well,
Yeah.
your molecules start to do that. So as your teams and I are chunking out all the stuff and from your unconscious or your subconscious, that's
Hmm.
unconscious because your subconscious creates your reality. We your body needs time for the molecules to go click, 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 click back into
Right.
place. And then we can take the next step. And what that does is your cup is full. If we start putting stuff in your cup, it's going to land on the table and the floor and make a mess. So
Right.
we have to dump some of that cup stuff out first. And that's what we did with her that first night in that first hour. She woke up in the morning with no pain in her jaw that she had not had in probably a decade.
Mm.
And that was the thing that propelled her into continuing to work with me. And we did that together, and her whole life is changed. And I don't take
Nice.
credit for that. That is her. She's the one who made the decision. She's the one that did the work. She's the
Oh
one
yeah.
that chose to say yes when I said, "Hey, are you ready to get rid of this?" You know, because some people, they'll show up and they'll go, "Well," I'm like, "Okay,
Yeah.
80%, not sure. How about 40%?" So whatever you're willing to give up is fine. You always have the
Yeah.
choice. You always have it.
Yeah. Yeah. And from that clip, she definitely looks satisfied with what she's accomplished. So yeah, I thought that was pretty cool. Um, you've co-authored several books, and I want to highlight the two that I highlighted in the promo. Um, the first one here is called the Big Idea Book. The Big Idea Book. So how, because you've co-authored several books, but how, well, first, how did you come to co-author the books? Who did you partner with? And talk about this specific one here, the Big Idea Book.
Yeah, I would love to. So there's a couple different publishers that I've worked with. This is from Victoria. She's crossed over now. She's no longer with us, but her predecessor has taken on her publishing company and continued to work with people. But I was invited in to be a part of this big idea book, and you know when we worked with her, it was one of those things where everyone got a page. And so you had a certain amount of space on that page. And then she just brought in experts from all around the world. And what was their big idea? What was the biggest idea they had that changed their life? No matter what it was about, what it was. And then each of us wrote about that. So every single page in that book speaks to a huge big idea that someone someplace had, and that's where everything comes from. Like everything we have on the planet,
Mm-hmm.
medical, technology, communication, transportation, all started as an idea. So
Right.
this is the book that's filled with the big ideas that
Right.
people had.
Yeah. Yeah. I thought it was pretty cool that, yeah, the big, because everything does come from the idea. Um, or again, we're all creators, and creation comes from the idea, and acting upon the idea. So I thought that was pretty cool. And then you have this, the next one here that I'm going to put up, and I just love the cover. I love the cover. Um, so right here, are you the missing piece? Don't leave a hole in the world. Now, how did that title come about?
So what happened was so many people are functioning from the programming of religious or how they were brought up, and their heritage, and what was important to them. And so it was always more important that you did for others and then you did for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So I was brought up with Catholicism, and it was if you were thinking about yourself to take care of yourself or do something for yourself, it was selfish.
Mm.
Is everybody else done first? And the same with the role of being a mother and fathers. Like your kids should come first. Like everyone else should come first. And then you can have time for yourself. It's like you are the last one on the list. Everybody else is first.
Yeah.
So what that does is that actually creates energetically, because that's what I work with is the energy, that you are excluding yourself from the whole. It's like everything else is in place, is fixed, is organized, is on time, is scheduled, is working properly. And then you're over here going, okay, is there anything left for me? So you're not including yourself, you're excluding yourself. So it's called a no choice universe. So when you choose that, when you choose to be separate, when you choose to be the last one on the list, when you don't actually include yourself in the mix, you're in a no choice universe. And that's how this came about, being don't leave a hole in the world, and the hole is you.
Yeah, because I've known a lot of people, they put themselves on the back burner because they want to make sure that everyone else is taken care of first. I mean, I know that we have certain kind of rules that, if you're on an airplane and stuff starts to happen, you put your mask on first before you help your children. But just in everyday life, you really can't help anyone until you help yourself first. Then you can kind of, spread it, if you will, or you're able to give more when you give more to yourself because you have more to give. When you start taking care of everyone else first, you start to run on empty eventually.
Yes.
Eventually, I mean, you're going to, and this is what creates what's called burnout. You hear a lot of this thing called burnout. People literally exhaust all of themselves because they've given so much to everyone else, and they're at the bottom of the totem pole.
Yeah, it's
and then they'll say, one day I'll get to, doing something for myself.
Yep.
Even if it's something simple like going to have going for a cup of coffee or having a drink or just going for a walk in the park, anything, going to an amusement park, any kind of recreation where you can have some kind of release for yourself versus balling all this stuff up inside. And because you're so worried about everyone else, you're worried about the mother, the father, the children, the people across the street, the neighbor next door, the cousin, the aunt, and everyone else.
Yep.
And then maybe one day we'll bring it back around to ourselves. And by that time, we're starting to see ourselves, we see the life sucked out of us, and then we look very, very different. Very different.
Yeah, it's like that with entrepreneurs too. It's like they throw, 100 hours a week like into their business, and then anything left over, they can then have for themselves. And normally it's like a nap or on the couch or something that's like not actually contributing. I mean, yes, naps contribute to you, but it's like you do that out of desperation to like catch up on sleep.
Yeah, that's right.
Not like an active choice to create. Yeah.
Yeah, and I've seen that a lot over the years with different people that have come into my sphere over the years.
Yes.
And it does take its toll over a period of time. Let's talk about energy empowerment.
I was just going to share something with you that may be interesting.
Yeah.
Recently heard that women who are married live 10 years less than their counterparts who are not married and have no children. And men who are married live the same expectancy as if they weren't married. So women who are married and have kids actually give 10 years of their life worth of energy into the family.
Right.
That's an entire decade. That's huge.
Yeah, it is huge.
That's something to look at, ladies.
Yeah. And gentlemen too, because, it kind of, and not saying it's the children's fault, but we do take years off of our lives. um you can be the parent. I'm a parent, I have a 10-year-old. um but at the same time, I take the time out to do some things for me, so I can remain at the top level of being that parent that I need to be, versus draining myself trying to be the best parent on the planet, which no one can ever become that. I mean, the maybe in the eyes of your child, but you, the person, the parent, again, we have to take the time out to give ourselves some time. And the children, they'll understand, especially as they become older themselves and they become parents. Then they'll be, oh, now I get it, now I get it.
It was interesting. So you and I were both Gen X. We came up. We're in the same age bracket. So
Mhm.
there was never a conversation that like my family had with me about, you know what, Susan, if getting married is something that you wouldn't like to do, it's okay. It's
Yeah,
okay if
yeah,
getting married is not like on your list of things. And you know what? And if having kids doesn't really get you excited, then don't worry about having kids.
yeah,
Just go with
yeah.
it, see where it comes. Oh no, it was you're graduating from school, you're going to college, you're getting your degree, you're getting a job, you're finding a man, you're getting married, you're buying a house, you're having kids.
Mm-hmm.
And when you did it in that order
Mm-hmm.
and you did it that way, you were a good kid.
Mm-hmm.
And I was a good kid. The thing
Mm-hmm.
is, no one ever tells you that there's actually a different possibility available
Right.
that may or may not be something that would create greater in your life. Like I
Yeah.
love my son, but I told my son,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
our kids, we picked our parents and our kids picked us. So when we talk about his dad, we talk about, I go, that's on you.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah.
Like, I didn't have to marry this individual. Like, I
Yeah.
was more educated, more friends, more money, closer family, like, had already left home, had my own bank account, credit cards, all thing. And he was not. So I put it on my son. I go, so that's on you. You created that. I just
Mm-hmm.
followed what society said. This
Yep.
is how you do that.
Yeah.
So you go get married, and then, it didn't work. And so we only got together so he could get some DNA sample
Got
from
it.
the dad. And the great, I am so grateful, and he knows this, that I could then parent the way I truly knew I'd wanted to parent. So when he walked and left, it was great because he didn't continue the lying, cheating, like all that kind of stuff continuing on. He was like, nope, I'm gone. I'm like, okay, cool.
Yeah.
I mean, back then it was projected on, because we were Catholic, oh,
Mhm.
till death do you part, and in sickness and in health. And it was like, wait a minute, there's not actually a question here. I'm
Right.
like, what's right about this I'm not getting? And I was like, I can parent.
Mm-hmm.
I can be a conscious parent, conscious
Mm-hmm.
parenting. And I would not have been able to do that if he was still a part of our life.
Yeah. Yeah. Conscious parent.
Yes.
Because marriage is really not a life requirement. Um, and neither is children, as great as we perpetuate the life expectant expansion of the planet, but it's not a requirement. It's not a requirement. You're not gonna be some people are judged for not having that because of what you said. You grew up in a specific religion that taught that this is the way and you must follow it, and there is no question about it.
Right. Right. No.
There's no question. You can't even give a rebuttal on it.
No.
This is the way it is in our religion, and you must follow it, or else you can get the hell out.
Yeah.
you know.
It was like,
Uh,
this is the way. And back then, like, I was not conscious then, and so I was we're always trying to fit in, you know what I mean? So you did what you were told, what you were expected. And it was even something that was like, not like, they didn't sit down and go, okay, this is first, this is second, this is third. You just got it,
yeah,
because
yeah,
everyone else in your community and in your church and your friend base and your school was doing the same thing.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
like, okay, so this is what I do. And basically, as kids, we learn from our parents unconsciously because they're our mentor, our leaders, within the home. And we spend most of our time with them, and repetition creates the neural pathway. So
Yep.
we sit back and we're like, okay, so that's how you treat your spouse. Oh, that's your work ethic. Okay, that's how you do money. Oh, okay, I get it. So
Mm-hmm.
unconsciously, you're seeing this, you're creating the neural pathway. Guess what? You're growing up. And even though it doesn't make any sense to you, you still keep doing the same thing.
Yeah. 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 That's right. Yeah, you've created that neural groove, and it just gets thicker and thicker and thicker and penetrates deeper and deeper and deeper. And whatever energy that brings forth, that's what you're going to follow, especially if it's all throughout your childhood, all throughout your adolescence, when you're trying to learn about yourself and who you are, your high school years, then your college years, you become an adult. You want to have an independent mind, but the the nerve paths have been grooved so well because of the upbringing. Um, it's kind of hard to divert into a different direction until you just get sick and tired of being sick and tired,
And that's what the school is going to be about. Because I was able to identify that. So I kind of like, I'm big with collective consciousness also. So I was looking at the collective consciousness, and we have these timestamps, not only within ourselves, but we, as humanity, we have timestamps within our collective consciousness. And it's shown to me like a record, like a vinyl record,
Yeah. Oh,
like
yeah.
generation, right?
We're old
And
school.
yeah, yeah. And we put the needle on the record and we start to play the record. Well, all of a sudden there's a scratch on the record. It's like, ah!
Yep.
I'm like, okay, so what is that?
Mm-hmm.
So that was a fear-induced incident, situation, experience that we had as humanity, and it scratched the record, and it's left a timestamp. So there's actually a physical, emotional, mental, chemical, energetic stamp of that experience, and it makes us stop. Like
Mm-hmm.
that's the scratch where it stops until you can get through it. So I've been able to figure out with humans how to bring all of their timestamps back into, so it's a whole soul. So I was looking at the collective consciousness, Kenan, and in looking at these different events that took place, because they would specifically show me, source would show me that scratch. Okay, truth, what was that? Okay, so that was when Kennedy was shot. Okay, that's when the Challenger blew up. Okay, that's when the towers went down. Okay, they are fear induced, and it's one of those moments where you know exactly where you were, exactly who you were with, what you were wearing that day, like.
Right. Yeah.
And then you start to mark time based on that. So this is one of the keys to the kingdom. So you
Mm-hmm.
start marking time based on it. So you start to say things like, so did we meet before the towers went down or after? Wait, I know we pivoted. So was that group in the middle of when, everything was on the ground and we couldn't actually go anywhere? Yeah. So when you start to mark time based on something, we're still saying, was that before or after COVID?
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
it's been 3 years.
Yeah.
So that's a timestamp for humanity. And so what we're going to do is identified what this new frequency is. So this new frequency showed up in the collective and it was done differently.
Mm-hmm.
So we're using that frequency of done differently. So it's opened like this door. You know what I mean? Like it started to go, now it's much bigger and we're just going to throw the door open and throw the window up. And we're like, we're doing this.
Mm-hmm.
So we're breaking the paradigm. So this is as a master pattern interrupter, myself, we're going to interrupt the pattern of this is the way we've done it. This is the way we've always done it. This is the way our parents did it. This is the way our parents did it before that. You know what? It's not broken. So we're not going to fix it. Do you
Mm-hmm.
know that? You know that
Yeah.
one?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so that actually keeps us in place. That doesn't allow us choice. That doesn't allow us to choose something different. So we're going to break that pattern by doing things differently. And when I acknowledged that that's what that was, like women from all around the world just started to converge on me, and I just found them everywhere. And they're doing things differently. Like we have someone who teaches telepathy with toddlers. We
Okay.
have conscious birthing and beyond. There's a different way of being born and a different way of giving birth than forceps and suction and episiotomy and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
There's grief to gratefulness. Bethany Shelton, Be Limitless Now. She has, when she lost her son, she, like, everything fell apart. Like it was the worst of the worst of the worst. And she has come so far in the growth cycle to where she's grateful now. And she has a whole program that she's doing on it. So we have money done differently, finances done differently, abundance done. Like there's so many different topics that are coming in from people who we're going to do things differently. And you don't, it doesn't have to be broken. You don't have to be broken to actually choose something else. Like you can choose it for fun. You can choose it because it's free. You can choose it because it's financially available. You can choose. I mean, there's so many different reasons to choose something.
Yeah.
That doesn't have to be broken in order for you to choose something else. Like we're going to get rid of that.
And that's the energetic empowerment, or is it?
That's your limitless life. Yeah.
Okay.
That's the school. We're going to be
Okay.
teaching. Yeah. The school.
Okay. Yeah. Cause I, you know, you talked about the breaking the patterns, you know, because we have certain patterns that go back 7 generations and maybe even beyond that, that our ancestors or family members, the grandparents, the great grandparents, the great great grandparents, you know, they followed these patterns because we weren't taught how to be independent thinkers. You know, we just go along with the family patterns and they keep repeating the same type of results for the family. And then we wonder why there is a distinction between what you said earlier about how people that are impoverished, they live in a certain specific realm of existence. And then people that are well-to-do or are affluent, they live in a very different space of energy because of certain patterns that they've either developed over time or they inherited the pattern. You know, whatever the case is, right? Yeah. And so, yeah, so you can definitely break that pattern and have the limitless life, you know, just like the movie Limitless. You know, there's like endless possibilities. It's like endless. You know, we live in a cosmos where it's endless. You know,
Yeah,
it never stops.
Yeah, we can only think of like this much, really,
Yeah.
when you think about it. You know, source has access to everything.
Yeah.
And that's when you start co-creating with source, the molecules, consciousness, that's when what we would call miracles, you know, or synchronicities, you know, all of a sudden show up like there's no way that should have happened, but yet here it is.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's what we're doing. That's
Right.
the miracle we're doing.
Okay. So real quick, because you energetic empowerment expert, as you, yeah, right. Yeah. You the star. So talk about energetic empowerment and how we can use that to our advantage once it's brought to our attention and we're made aware of it.
So this is the beauty of this. This is a great question. So remember when you were in kindergarten and you learned to count?
Yes.
And you counted everything: crayons, erasers, markers. Remember clothespins on the clothesline?
Oh yeah.
We don't have those anymore.
Yeah.
Clothespins. I don't know.
I haven't seen that in years.
I know. See, we go way back.
You just toss stuff in the dryer now.
Right.
You know?
We're old school, right? Clothespins. We counted those, right? Those were some things that you could count. But then you got to first grade and they're like, okay, so you've mastered counting. You got that down. We're going to teach you how to add. So now it's 2 and 2 is 4 and 5 and 5 is 10 and 50 and 50 is 100. Do you ever go back to counting? Like 88, 89, 90.
Mm-hmm.
No, you never go back to counting, right?
Mm-hmm.
Once you've learned to add. Adding is faster, quicker, easier. 2, 4, 6, 8, 5, 10, 15. It's just faster.
Yeah.
So you'd have to choose against yourself to go back to counting like you did in kindergarten.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody does that, right? It doesn't make
Mm-hmm.
any sense.
Yeah.
But yet,
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
even in the face of total awareness, right? So you're aware there's a different possibility now. With our program today, you're aware that every molecule is consciousness. You're aware that you can talk to trees and trees can talk to you. Your clothing, your food, like it's all contributing to you. There are so many golden nuggets, that we've like mic dropped, within our time together today, that like people's worlds are blowing up. And we set that intention, like today is the day, now is the time, like you will not be the same person. And that's what happens when people get into my frequency. They can't be the same person. It's just
Mm-hmm.
not possible, because there's so many awarenesses that become available that you have to actually, that thing about, hey, you can't unsee that. Or once you
Right.
can't unknow it. So it's like that with consciousness, with
Mm-hmm.
awareness. It's like once you know, there's a faster, quicker, easier, more fun, more abundant, way more joyful way of being, and you can choose that. Why would you choose not
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
have
Yeah.
in your life?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And a lot of people, many, if not most people, don't want to take the time out to go back to the beginning and learn the steps, like you learn how to count, the steps that it takes to become that empowered person energetically within, you know?
And if they don't, that's okay. There's no judgment. Like
Yeah.
people will get it when they get it. They'll choose it when they choose it. They'll
Mm-hmm.
keep, it's the same thing with battered women, or men. They're in an abusive situation. Like they'll keep choosing it until they're done, and then they'll choose something else.
Mm-hmm.
And it's, that same kind of thing. But, here's the thing is, if you could have figured out how to have a most abundant, incredibly joyful, amazing life, don't you think you would have by now?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
see, it's not about figuring anything out. It's about the energy.
Mm-hmm.
So when you said going back, like you don't have to go back. Like you don't ever have to relive something. You don't have to remember what it is. Like
Oh yeah, 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 yeah.
you don't have access to like past lives or their ancestors or where they were before they became a human on the planet. That's where the teams come in and we just delete it. We don't need
Mm-hmm.
to know what, where, and why or how. It's like, that's a limitation. It's got to go. That's a
Yeah.
limitation. That one's got to go too. Boom.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it reminds me of the book from my holistic psychology teacher, Dr. Dolores Seymour. She wrote a book called Who Cares Why?
Yes.
Yeah, who cares why?
We don't
You
need to
know?
know why or how it happened. Just that it's there and it's a block and it's got to go.
Yeah,
That's it.
yeah. And then you can literally release what's already inside of all of us. You can start releasing your
Well,
gifts, if you will.
yeah. So that's one of those catchwords like want. So it has like a reverse meaning.
Mm-hmm.
So you were taught that release meant to let go, to drop, to get rid of. Actually, releasing is to sign another contract, to
Mm-hmm.
release a condo, to release a car. So you can't actually let that go. You sign on for more limitation with that. So instead of releasing, we use remove,
Okay,
delete,
okay, okay,
eliminate. Like, and
okay.
then see, now that you know it, that's going to change everything for you. And that you're not going to be signing back on to limitation from
Yeah,
this point forward. Like you
yeah,
have choice with it. Isn't that so cool?
yeah. Right, right. Yeah. Again, it's about, I guess, all words have energy. And so your choice of words do make a difference, do make a difference. Um, Again, no right or wrong or judgment, But again, when you use certain terminologies, they bring on a different meaning. They bring on a different meaning. As we wrap up here, and Susan, I want to thank you for taking the time out of your schedule to be here with me on the Kinetic Hour. How can the people find you?
I'm an easy find. My first and last name, SusanShatzer.com.
SusanShatzer.com. And you have a lot of things on your website, and yeah, you're easy to get in contact with.
Absolutely.
You're on a few social media outlets as well.
Absolutely.
And my final question to you, and I like to ask this question to my guests: what does life mean to you?
What does life mean to me? Well, life. It's a 4-letter word.
Yeah, one of the many, huh?
It was a breakfast cereal when we were growing up. It may still be a breakfast cereal now. I don't know.
I remember it. Yeah, I used to eat it too.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Mikey.
Mikey, that's right. Yeah, Mikey.
Life.
Yeah.
You know, I'm gonna plead the fifth, because like anything that has a meaning, so like all of our words have meanings, then that creates a form, structure, significance, and we have to make it real, right, and relevant in our life. So there is no meaning for me for life. It's like, what's more important for me is like, am I having a fun factor of 8, 9, or 10?
Okay.
If I'm not having a fun factor of 8, 9, or 10, then I have to fix it. And so that's the thing. It's like, how much joy and fun are you having in your life? Because if you can't say it's an 8, 9, or 10 on the scale, then you've got to take a look at fixing that.
Yeah.
Because happiness and joy is a frequency, and that's where your toddlers were. That's where the 2-year-olds were. They were having a lot of joy, a lot of fun, making a mess.
Yeah, and they're more kind of in the spirit world anyway. They're
creating,
yeah. They're in a totally different frequency until we start giving them these patterns that we say that they have to follow when they're still trying to keep their joy and their happiness or their bliss or whatever it is that they're feeling.
And the one question the 2-year-olds are always asking, right? That infuriates the parents and the adults.
What's that?
It's only a 3-letter word. Why?
Why? Yeah.
Why?
Yeah.
Why? You know why they're asking why?
Why is
so
that?
I went in their reality. So they know that there's a different possibility available that would be way more fun, that would be easier, and that would create greater for the adults in their life. But the adults aren't choosing it, and they are trying to figure out why.
Yeah. Yes. And then that's, as opposed to the book that I just mentioned, Who Cares Why? That's the time that the curiosity kicks in, where they want to know why these things happen. So they can know that there are, like you said, there are possibilities that I may want to follow, because your definition of why may be different from from what I'm feeling right now as a toddler.
Why can't I wear my princess dress to church?
Yeah, right.
Why can't I wear my Spider-Man costume to school? Like, it would create greater for me and my body if I was able to. They don't speak that way. They don't have those words, but that's basically what they're asking. Is like, and you're saying, no, you can't, because nobody else does, because that's not what you do, and you're not supposed to. And so there's that box that we like stick them in. And I learned that the day I let my son jump in puddles. He was coming out of school.
Yeah.
And it had rained earlier that day. And so there were puddles. And so he's in his uniform, and he's got a backpack and like a lunch thing. And we're crossing the path for the parents, the car riders, right? Mm-hmm. So I had to like stop traffic. So 30 seconds in, I'm like, okay, how many dirty looks am I going to get? How many horns are going to honk at me? How many people are going to say I'm a terrible parent for letting my child? I go, yeah, go ahead. This would be fun. So he's jumping in the puddles, splashing the puddles all over the place, right? Socks and shoes totally wet. And I'm just going, okay, thanks. Like, I didn't even want to look over there. Okay, thanks, right? And then he goes, Mom, you jump. I was like, okay. So I jumped in one too, right? And then I was like, I think this puddle's dry. We might have to go now. He goes, all right, let's go. So then we like shimmy over to the car, and I was like, thank you, thank you, thank you. And I thought I was going to get like flipped off and like all the horns and stuff. And they were like giving me the thumbs up, and they were like, good job. Like just letting him play in puddles and for me to play in a puddle too. I was like, wow, that was totally different. That was unexpected. Thank you very much. I had no point of view about it. I was ready for it if they were going to go there. But it allowed them to show up differently than how normally they would be. But we get over to the car and we're taking the shoes off, we're taking the socks off. And, he still talks about that today. He's 22.
Okay. Yeah, my daughter likes to jump in the puddles during the rain, or if the sun is out. She's like, Daddy, can you turn the water on so I can jump in the puddles?
Yes, I think all of us adults, we should do puddle. That should be an Olympic sport, puddle jumping. And we should also make it a holiday. Like we should have a jumping holiday where we all just skip school and skip work and we puddle jump. Can you imagine the joy of that on so many, like the whole world would shift on its axis. Like, so much fun. Do you know what I mean? Like that's what's missing, is that level of joy, play, and fun. Like play creates. And, we just forgot about it when we were 2 because we were told to sit and fit in the box.
That's one of the missing pieces, huh?
It is.
All right. Yeah. Yeah. Susan, I want to thank you so much. It's been great. And come back to the show. I'd love to have you back. We can kind of go deeper into all these topics. There's an abundance of information that can be given on all these topics.
Yes. There is. Like, we're just scratching the surface.
Right. That's right.
And this is going to unlock humanity.
Yeah.
Like what we're doing, what we're talking about. Like these are the keys to the kingdom, my friend.
Yeah. Keys to the kingdom. And we all want to have our kingdom, if you will, or create it for ourselves, and there is a way to do it. And, you've brought some great information to the table. So thank you for that. And appreciate everything that you do. And to everyone that's listening and watching, check out Susan Shatzer. Go to her website of the same name as you see on the screen right there, susanshatzer.com. She's great. She has a lot of information. Again, to everyone that's listening and watching, I'm greatly appreciative of all of that. Grateful. And again, there's a lot of podcasts that you can listen to. So thank you for tuning in to the Kinetic Hour. Once again, go to my YouTube channel, which is the Kinetic Hour. Again, KENNETIC. Rumble as well, same thing. And until next time.